Okay, so we're going to start with a 5-minute warm-up. So we'll start with the legs fairly wide apart, and then we're just going to side bend to one side, just stretching through the side, keeping the arms, making sure you're not putting weight on the legs. We're just sliding from side to side, keeping the neck nice and neutral, and just getting a little bit of movement in the body. If you've just been sitting a long time or you just got up. And then we're just going to bring an arm into it. So just take your arm over and stretch all the way through the side. And then the same on the other side. And we're trying to reach up. We're not collapsing over, reaching up and over. So we're also engaging the core already as we start doing this exercise. I'm taking some breaths in and out as well. We'll go to the other side, and then we'll go back to the center, take the legs wide again, and we're going to squat down in a kind of sumo squat position, and then just move into the hips from side to side. So easing into the hip joints, the knees, getting some mobility in that area. And then we'll just stay in this position and then just gently push your knees a little bit back as you move from side to side again. You might feel that a little bit more in the inner thigh. And then we'll come back up to standing. It's quite a hard one to start with. And then we're going to step back into a lunge and then just twist to the opposite side. So we're twisting towards the front leg, towards the side of the front leg, and then step forward, step back to the other side, and then we're just going to twist over to the other side, keeping nice and neutral through the center, so we're imagining a straight line through the body. And then we'll do a few more of those to each side. So we're just moving in all planes at the moment. And then one more to the other side. Hopefully we've done it evenly. And then we're going to go into a down dog, which is a yoga position, but we can stretch up through the backs of the knees. So come onto the plank position, and then you're just going to push the hips back. And then step through the heels. So we're bending and straightening the legs. Pushing back through the heels to get some blood flow into the backs of the legs, into the hamstrings, into the quads, glutes, calves. And then we can just hold in that position and then just move forward and back a little bit. And then bending and straightening the legs a little bit more. And then we're going to come down onto all fours into a cat position, kind of. And then we're just going to shrug the shoulders. So we're rotating through the shoulders. Should feel nice if you've got stiff shoulders. You might feel a bit of crunching here. Trying to keep the spine nice and neutral, so we're not arching the spine or rounding the spine. We're trying to keep it in this level position. And then we're just going to take a few cat-cows. So we are going to now just drop the hips down, arching through the spine and looking up a little bit. Don't push too hard, just take it gently to start with. And then we're going to round through the spine and push up towards the ceiling. So we're going to do a few of those, breathing in and then breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, just to get some mobility through the spine. And then we'll just take it back into that shoulder shrug, going the opposite way to the way you went before. I've forgotten which way I went, but there you go. And then we're going to come up to standing. So we're going to start the circuit now. So with strength and conditioning, I do 3 circuits of 6 exercises, and we're going to do 40 seconds of each exercise. Obviously, at home, we're a bit limited in what equipment we've got. So if you've got weights, then you can use them. If you don't, all the exercises can be done without weights, and you're still going to get a benefit. ideally, when we're doing strength training, we want to be lifting heavy. But if you haven't done strength training before, then we're going to be doing body weight exercises. Is really good to get the movement pattern established, or using a much lighter weight. So when we move on to heavier weights, we want to be lifting about 5 reps, and that wants to feel like you can't really do too many more if you're doing that kind of, that's what the heavy should feel like. But obviously at the moment, and if we're not in a gym, we haven't got access to our own squat rack or whatever equipment that they've got in the gym to be able to do those exercises. So what we do is we do higher reps with a lower weight. So that's what we're going to be doing today. You're still going to get loads of benefit from doing this, because if you've not done any kind of strength and conditioning or weight bearing exercise before, then this is really going to help you. So we're going to start off with a lateral lunge, and I'm going to show you how to use the weights in case you have got weights. So if we're going to do a side lunge, lateral lunge, we're stepping to the side. If you've got a kettlebell, you want to be holding it close to your chest like this. And when you step out, just keeping it hugged in close to your body. If you've got dumbbells, then you can do the same. So you can keep them in close to your chest, or you can take them down by your sides and do the same exercise. It's up to you. Or you can do without if you have not got weights at all. So we're going to start doing 40 seconds of the lateral lunge to each side. So just stepping out to the side and then back to center and then out to the other side. So you will tip forward a little bit from the hips. That's fine. And if your knee goes over your toe, just as long as it's not causing you any pain, then that's all fine. And you should feel that stretching in the inner thigh as well. So when we're swim, bike and running, we don't tend to move in this position very often. That's why it's good to move in these different planes of movement. A few more left. And last one. I think we started on that side, so I'll finish on that side. And then we're going to go on to the next exercise, which is a push-up to row. So we're going to do a push-up, and then we're going to take it into a row. Now, if you've got dumbbells, you can do this exercise with a dumbbell. So I'll show you with a modified push-up. If you're doing a modified push-up, you have your knees on the floor and you've got a straight line through the body. And we push up. And then we take the weight up to the armpit. So when you do this, it's tempting to kind of rock from side to side. I want you to try and control that. So we're trying to keep the back level. And then we're pushing up and then rowing. So if you haven't got weights, then you're doing exactly the same. And you're doing a shoulder tap. And you can either do it in the modified plank, or you can do it in full push-up position, whatever you feel like today. And of course, you can modify it halfway through. If you find I'm not able to continue with the full press up, if you started like that, then you can modify it. So we're going to get started. So I'm going to try with the weights. So pushing up. Remember to keep that back nice and level, trying to control that rock from side to side, because you will want to rock a little bit from side to side. You will want to shift your weight a little bit. Got a few more left. I think maybe one more. Okay, and then release down. Well done. And then we're now going to lie on our backs and do a core exercise. So if you don't need weights for this one. Now, the exercise that we're going to do is a double leg lower. So we're starting with our legs up towards the sky, and we're just going to lower them down towards the floor, trying to keep the lower back in contact with the floor. If that's pulling anywhere or it just doesn't feel right, then you can hold a boat position. So boat position, we've got our knees slightly bent, and we're keeping our chest nice and open, and we're holding in this position. So that's an alternative if you're feeling any pain doing the double leg lower. Otherwise, we're going to try the double leg lower. It's quite a tough exercise. So we'll see how we get on. 40 seconds, we're starting now. So pressing the hands down into the floor. Remembering to breathe as well. Keeping that lower back as much as you can in contact with the floor. And of course, if you need a break, if you need to have a little rest, then you can do. Staying nice and strong. Got a few more left. And release down. Well done. So we're going to go straight into another core exercise. We're going to go into mountain climbers, which we did in the core session the other day. You're familiar with this one if you've done the core session. We're going to make a slight modification. So we go into that plank position, and I'm going to ask you to bring your knees in between the legs. Then we're going to go to the outside of the elbows. So we're just going to modify the position slightly. This is going to feel tough after doing those double leg lowers, so stick with it. And we'll make a start now. So we're going onto the plank position, then in between the arms, and then to the outside of the elbows. In between, and then to the outside. Keep breathing, because this will feel tough. And then to the outside of the elbows. Remember to breathe. We've got 10 more seconds left. Doing really well. If you want to come down and rest, that's fine. We've got a few more left. And release down. Awesome. Okay, so the next exercise is a stability exercise, really. We're looking for stability and balance through the body. It's called a single leg deadlift. If you have got a weight, then you can use it for this exercise. I'm just going to show you to start off with, and then you can have a go. If you don't have a weight, then it's a really good exercise to do without a weight as well. It just changes where you'll balance a little bit if you're using the weight. So if you've got a kettlebell or a dumbbell, you can hold that in one hand, and you're going to take one hand out to the side. So I've got my left hand out to the side. I'm going to establish my weight on my left leg, keep a little bit of bend in that knee, and then lean forward with this right arm, and we're aiming to lower that weight down to the floor and then come back up. So things you want to watch out for here is what will happen when you come down. I'll just show you without the weight. When you lean down to touch the floor, your hips will start moving or going to one side. So you'll start trying to adjust your hips. So what I want you to do is focus on keeping a nice straight line through the hips. So we take our arms out and we're aeroplaning down and then back up and then aeroplaning down. So what tends to happen is you want to open up in that right hip, okay? It is a tricky exercise. It isn't easy. If you've got dumbbells and you want to use a dumbbell, what I do is just hold it like this, and then the same. So you're going down and then lifting up. Okay, so we're going to do 20 seconds on each side. And it won't be many reps because it does take quite a while to get your balance when you're wobbling about a little bit. So we'll make a start. Don't worry if you are wobbling. It's totally normal. And try and keep that nice neutral spine. Okay, and then we're going to swap sides. You might find one side feels different to the other, so keep a little bend in that leg that's on the floor. We'll do one more, making sure your spine is neutral, so you're looking in line with your spine. Well done. Okay, and then the last exercise we're going to do is more of a mobilization exercise. Just sort my timer out. So we're moving in a different way than we would normally. We're going to get down on the floor on our back, on kind of a backwards crawling position. And then we're going to walk like a crab from one side to the other. So we're trying to keep the hips up as much as we can. It will feel strange, but just do your best with it. And it's another exercise where we're just moving in a different way to what we might do normally. So keeping those hips up, and we're going from side to side. You can slow it down as well if you need to. I can definitely feel this in my shoulders, sort of stretching all the way through those shoulders. Okay, and then we're going to come back down and start the circuit again. So we're coming back up to lateral lunge position. So again, you can use the weight or you don't have to use a weight. It's up to you, whatever you've got. So we're stepping to the side, back to the center, and then to the other side. Nice and strong. If you're leaning forward a little bit, that's absolutely fine. You need to make space in the hips. A few more to go. And release, we're down onto the floor now, and we're into the push-up to row. So it's up to you whether you do modified push-up or a full push-up. And remember, we're aiming to keep the rocking to a minimum. You can use weights with this if you want to. It's up to you. Try and keep your elbows closer in to your chest. Sorry, into your sides, not your chest. Few more. Well, I think we've got time for one more. Good effort. Okay, and then we're going into mountain climbers. So again, as I said, this is going to feel tough. We'll take a little breather before we start. I've got the sun right in my eyes now. So we'll go into plank. And then those knees are coming in between the hands and then outside the elbows. Between the hands, outside the elbows. Keeping a neutral spine so we're looking down at the floor. We're not arching through the neck. Halfway through. Keep breathing. If you need to rest, you can do. We've got 10 seconds left. And 5. In between the hands, and then release down. Well done. And then we're going to go into the deadlift, the single leg deadlift. So we're getting into that balanced position. Hopefully it's balanced. And then we're going to step forward, keeping the hips level. Then if you can, just bring your knee up in front of you. If you need to touch down in between the reps, that's fine. And you can use a weight for this if you want to. Okay, and then we're going to do the other side. We're going to do 5 on each side. Or attempt to. So your neck's moving in line with the spine. So we're not arching through. Okay, one more. And release. So we're now, we missed one, didn't we? We didn't do double leg lower. So we're going to go back to that one, which is probably quite good because that was a tough abdominal one after the mountain climbers. So we're lifting the legs up and then lowering them. Or remember, your alternative is to come up into this boat pose and hold. If you're holding boat pose, make sure the chest is open so that we've got a neutral spine. We're not rounding through the shoulders here. We're opening up and reaching forwards a little bit. We're over halfway through. Well, you can always alternate between the two exercises if you want to. And release. Okay, and then the last exercise, we can stay on the floor because we're going to do the backward crawling. And we're moving from side to side. I've got lots of space here. I just felt like going all the way to the back then. So keep those hips towards the ceiling. Just seeing what this feels like. It's a bit of exploration, really, to see what happens in your body when you do these different movements. Okay, now we'll just come back to the middle and drop down. So we've got one more circuit to go. So we're going to stand back up and go into the lateral lunge again. So we're just stepping from side to side. If you've got a weight, you can hold that into your chest. If you don't, you can either have your arms here, down by your side, whichever you want. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit energized now. And we've got 10 seconds. And last one. So we're now going down onto the floor for push-up to row. So if you've got weights, you can use them. If you don't have to. And remember, we can always modify our push-up as well. So you might want your feet a little bit wider apart. So my feet are about mat width apart, which is wider than hip width. We're over halfway through. Keeping that rocking to a minimum. And release down. Okay, so we're going into the double leg lower. Which is legs up towards the ceiling and then lowering the feet down. Oops. Keeping that lower back in contact as much as you can. We're just imagining you're doing it. What we don't want is to arch up too much through the spine. We've just got 10 seconds left. So that's only a few more reps. So stick with it, or holding your boat if you're in boat position. And release down. Well done. Whew. We're now going into the mountain climbers this time, so it is going to feel tough. We've just done pretty much 3 core exercises in a row. So we're onto that plank position. Bring the knees in between the arms, then up to the elbows. In between the arms, up to the elbows. Keep breathing. We're halfway through. And we've got 10 seconds left. And last one. Release down. Well done. Okay, you want to stretch the stomach out now. So we're going to start off up again with our single leg deadlift. I'm going to use the weight this time. So we're going to do 5 reps on each side, leaning forward, trying to keep those hips level. You might find, because I've got very tight hamstrings, so I have to keep bend in the leg, and that's good. You need that bend in the leg. If you lock out through the leg you're standing on, then it's not so easy. Okay, then we're going to swap sides, so 5 reps on the other side. Ooh. This is my wobbly side. 3, keeping the hips nice and level. And the last one. And then back up to center. Okay, so the last exercise in the circuit and the last exercise for today is the backwards crawl. So we're going into this upwards facing all fours position, and we're just going to step a little bit from side to side. Whatever space you've got, use that. Okay, and then we're just going to take it forwards and backwards a few times as well. Keeping those hips up, remember, as they start dropping. And then sideways again. And then we're dropping down. Okay, well done. We're going to do a few quick stretches to finish off with. So first of all, we're going to come up into a lunge position. So make sure that you've got a bit of space in between your legs so they're not like one in front of another. And then we're just going to lean forwards and backwards a little bit, moving into the hip joint and feeling a little bit of stretch in the quad. If you want something underneath your knee, if you have any pain in the knee, you can put a blanket under there. Make sure you're on something that gives you a little bit of support, because it can be a little bit painful. And then we're just going to lean forward. I don't want you putting weight on that leg, really. You can put your hands down to the floor, or just release into that front quad there. And then we're going to go back, and then just feel that stretch through the back of the straightened leg now. So hands on the floor. I find this really hard to do because of my hamstrings being so tight. Usually I'd use something to support myself. So I'd have a couple of blocks or something there. So we're just going to forwards and then back again a few times. and then hold. Okay, and then I'll do the same on the other side. So forwards and backwards, just easing into the hips and the quad. So we just lean forward and allow yourself to release into the front of the quad. And then we take it back into that hamstring and back of the leg stretch. Then we're just going to go forwards and backwards into that position a few times. Trying to bring your toes up towards you if you can, and then we just hold again. Holding and breathing. This might feel uncomfortable. It's totally fine. And then we'll come down into a, just have to move back so I can actually see with the sun. We'll put our feet together. We're going to stretch the inner thighs here. So if you can get your feet quite close into your groin, then do that. But if your feet are further away, that's fine, as long as you can feel some kind of stretch in the release in the inner thighs. You're going to hold the toes and sit up tall, nice and tall, and then leading with your chin or your nose, we're just going to lean forward into that position to feel more release in the inner thighs. So we're trying to make the movement from our hips here, not rounding and hunching, we're hinging from the hips. Okay, and then we'll just drop the head down, shake the head from side to side. You can release now through the upper back and feel a little bit of stretch in that upper back and shoulders. If you want to close your eyes, you can do here. I always seem to close my eyes in this position. It's just kind of go internal a little bit. Okay, and then just roll up nice and gently, and we'll just take a quick little twist. So just straighten out your left leg and bring your right foot in towards you, and then cross that left leg over the right, and then we're just going to look over the left shoulder. And we're trying to keep a nice line through the spine, going out through the top of the head. And then we'll release and do the other side. So the left foot is coming in, right foot crosses over. I think I've got that the right way around. And then the left arm is going over your right leg, and we're just turning to face over the right hand shoulder and breathing there as well, feeling the twist in the upper back and all through that side body as well. Okay, and then just do a quick shoulder. So with shoulders and back, we'll just drop the head down and stretch across the upper back. And then we'll take one arm across the body. So that is going to feel nice in the shoulders if you've got sore shoulders. It's a good release from doing the press-ups as well. And then again on the other side. So if you do feel any soreness during the day, then you can always do a little bit of movement in that area. Sometimes I like to just mobilize that area. If it's feeling a little bit tight, then just gentle movement around it can really help. And then we'll just shrug the shoulders a little bit, give a shake out. Okay, well done. Thanks for joining me this morning, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Have a good day.